Hello students, today we will start with new poison from toxicology, that is strychnine or Naxomica. Commonly it is called as Naxomica. So today we will see in detail about Naxomica poisoning. Strychnine is one of its active constituents, or what we call it as its active principle. You can also call it as strychnine poisoning. Its common name is Nux vomica. So Nux vomica is the most deadly of all the known poisons. So whatever the poisons are there, or whatever the poisons are there in our syllabus also, out of them Nux vomica or strychnine is considered as the most deadly poison, because it is very painful, and it is surely going to cause the death of the affected person. So it is considered as the most deadly of all the known poisons. So poisonous effects are because of alkaloids which are obtained from the seeds of Nux vomica. Ripe fruits are poisonous. Pickily, ripened fruits are poisonous. Seeds of Nux vomica are very hard. They are flat. Disc-like. They are disc-like. With central part is slightly depressed. Central part is slightly depressed, just like that. What we see in RBC, in the morphology of RBC. So central part is slightly depressed, concave, you can say. So seeds are hard, flat. It cannot be easily broken. They are very hard. 2 centimeter in diameter. I will show you the photograph of those seeds in the next slide. So seeds are hard, flat, 2 centimeters in diameter and half centimeter in thickness. So it is very thick and hard, and it is having intense bitter taste, very bitter taste. So you cannot, when it is powdered, you cannot keep it in the mouth for a few seconds also. So it is very bitter. And again, commonly asked 2 mark question is, what are the active principles of Nux vomica? So active principles of Nux vomica are strychnine, brucine and loganin, out of which strychnine is the most deadly active principle, which gives rise to its clinical features. So strychnine stimulates, how the Nux vomica works. So strychnine stimulates all the parts of central nervous system, particularly anterior horn cells of spinal cord, causing increased reflex excitability. So in the last lecture we have seen the deliriant poisons which are acting on the cerebrum. So all those are the cerebral poisons like cannabis indica, datura and cocaine and all, what we have completed in the last lecture. They are acting on the cerebrum. And this one, Nux vomica, is it is acting on the spinal cord. Importantly, it is acting on the spinal cord. So it has been grouped under neurotic poisons. So neurotic poisons have been classified into cerebral, spinal and peripheral. Neurotic or neurotoxic substances are classified into cerebral. Examples are all those barbiturates and all, sedatives, hypnotics, then those deliriants, they all act on cerebrum. And second group is spinal poison. The spinal poisons will be acting on spine or vertebral column, or what we call it, a spinal cord. They will act on the spinal cord. And third group of these neurotic poisons is peripheral poisons, acting on the peripheral nervous system. So today we will be looking into spinal poisons, and important spinal poison from our syllabus is Nux vomica. So the strychnine will stimulate all parts of the central nervous system, particularly anterior horn cells of spinal cord. It will cause the stimulation or excitation of the anterior horn cells of the spinal cord, and it will cause increased reflex excitability. So you got, where is the action of strychnine? Strychnine acts on the anterior horn cells of the spinal cord, causing intense reflex excitability. Now, because of this increased reflex excitability, slightest stimulus like slightest noise nearby, or light, or slightest air breeze will also cause the violent reflex action, and it will cause general contracture of all the muscles, leading to convulsions. Now, I don't know where in Matramedica part, in homeopathic Matramedica part, where you have completed this Naxomica medicine or not. Because from this strychnine or from this Naxomica, the homeopathic medicine is prepared. That is called, the name is Naxomica only. And this Naxomica patient, these drug picture of Naxomica patient is very sensitive, cannot tolerate slightest draft of air, cannot tolerate slightest noise. So patient is very irritable, very irritable. So you can relate this thing with Matramedica, the toxicological effect of strychnine or Naxomica poison, and our drug picture of Naxomica in Matramedica. So patient cannot tolerate slightest noise, light or slightest air breeze will cause irritation. It will irritate the patient and will aggravate the symptoms. So, the important feature of Naxomica poison is it causes general contracture of all the muscle leading to convulsions. So this is the image. This is the photograph of Naxomica. You can see the seeds. Seeds are around 2 centimeter in diameter. On your right hand, these seeds are there. They are very hard, and on the left side there are ripened fruits of Naxomica, and in that fruit this seed is present. So seeds are very hard. You cannot break them easily. They are 2 centimeters in diameter and half centimeter in thickness. They are very thick and very hard, cannot be dissolved, cannot be digested by our digestive juices as well. So they are very hard and thick. Now we'll see the signs and symptoms. Signs and symptoms of Naxomica poison or strychnine poisoning. When the seeds are swallowed whole or unbroken seeds, whole seeds, if they are swallowed, they will not be poisonous. They will not give rise to any clinical feature because they cannot be dissolved. Just I told you, these seeds cannot be dissolved by the digestive juices. They are very hard. But if the seeds are broken, and converted into powder, if the seeds are powdered and swallowed, they will have intense bitter taste. Means you cannot even tolerate, even for a few moments or even for a few seconds, these seeds on your tongue. So they are very bad bitter taste is there. But once that powder is swallowed, clinical features will start within 15 minutes to 1 hour. Varies from person to person. So in some patient it may take 15 minutes or it may take 1 hour in other. So the clinical features will start within 15 minutes to 1 hour after the ingestion of that broken or powdered seed. The patient will become anxious and restless. There will be stiffness of all the muscles, and this stiffness and hardening of the muscles will be followed by convulsions. And the convulsions are clonic, means intermittent, on and off, and then they will become tonic, that is sustained, means will remain permanently. They will affect both the flexors as well as extensors, both the flexor muscles as well as extensors. So flexors of arm as well as extensors of arm, flexors of lower limb as well as extensors of lower limb. All the muscles will be affected at a time, and because of contraction or violent spasm of all these muscles, the body will be like an arch. Arch means head and heel are touching the ground. Means when the patient is lying down in the bed, the only head part, only the back of the head and only the heel will be touching the ground, and rest of the body, chest, abdomen, hip and all, they all will be in the air. So धनुष्या सारखा आकार होतो शरीराचा. फक्त डोकं आणि पाय फक्त त्याचे बेडवर किंवा जमिनीवर राहतात आणि बाकीचं अख्खं शरीर वर उचललं जातं फ्रॉम द बेड. अँड दॅट्स वाय द कंडिशन इज जस्ट लाईक looks like that the total bending of the body, what we call it as bow like or dhanushya sarka aakar hoto, and this condition is called as opisthotonus. It is asked as a 2-mark question. Opisthotonus is asked as a 2-mark question, so you can write in 2 lines. Opisthotonus is the condition found in Naxomica or strychnine poison, and it is characterized by only head and heel are touching the ground and rest of the body is bowed, which is lifted from the bed or from the ground. Chest is fixed because all the muscles have undergone spasm or contraction. the chest will be fixed, and it will also cause the spasm or convulsion, those contraction of the respiratory muscles, and that's why patient will have difficulty in breathing and will be manifested by sinus. Because of difficult breathing, the oxygenation of the blood will not occur and patient will have sinuses. Then there will be blood stain from the mouth. So it is just a manifestation of asphyxia, you can call, because of difficulty in breathing, improper ventilation, and improper oxygenation of the blood, sinuses, and ultimately patient will develop blood stain from the mouth, which is a characteristic of uh, what we call as this asphyxia. Now, next clinical feature, all the facial muscles will also undergo spasm. All the facial muscels will also undergo spasm, and because of contracted and spastic condition of all the facial muscle, the clinical condition called as recess sardonicus. All the facial muscles will undergo spasm, and the condition is called as recess sardonicus. It can also be asked as a 2-mark question. This recess sardonicus is a condition developed because of contraction of all the facial muscles. You know, so many facial muscles are there. They all will undergo violent spasm or contraction and will lead to the condition recess sardonicus. Eyes will be prominent and staring. Eyes will be very prominent, wide open, and staring at one place only. After 1 minute, after the 1 minute of this convulsion, the convulsions will pass off. Just I told you, initially the convulsions will be tonic, and then they will become clonic, and then they will become tonic. So after 1 minute, the convulsions will pass off. Muscles are completely relaxed. The patient will look normal, maybe for very few minutes, 1 or 2 minutes, and again the spasm will occur. So it is recurring spasm. Then spasm will increase in frequency. The spasm of the muscle means in the early stage there will be interval of maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, but gradually this interval between the attacks of two spasm will reduce. So spasm will increase in frequency and severity, and then it will become continuous. Now there will be no intervening or resting phase of spasm. So in between the spasm there will not be relaxation, so but all the muscles will remain contracted or will remain in the spastic condition continuously. And slightest sound or slightest movement will initiate the spasm. स्लाइटेस्ट नॉईज नियर बाय, म्हणजे त्या पेशंटच्या बेडच्या शेजारी कोणाचा पावलाचा आवाज आला, कसलाही आवाज आला, किंवा त्याला प्रकाश जरी दिसला खिडकीतून वगैरे, then also it will initiate the spasm. That's why the patient is to be kept in dark and quiet room. That will see the treatment part. So slightest sound or movement will initiate the spasm. Then death from asphyxia. Death from asphyxia is because of spasm of the respiratory muscle. Just we have seen in the previous slide, the respiratory muscles will also undergo spasm or convulsion during convulsion, and that's why it will cause asphyxia, because patient will have difficulty in breathing. Mind is clear till death. So even though patient is having so many complaints, so many convulsions and so many things, but still because this poison is acting only on the spinal cord prominently, the higher centers in the brain or the cerebral cortex and all, they all are remaining normal. That's why mind is clear till death. The patient knows whatever he is suffering from, and that's why the patient is having extreme pain till the end. So this is considered as the most distressing death, म्हणजे सर्वात जास्त त्रास होतो. That's why we have used the first line in the first slide, that it is the most deadly poison of all the known poisons. So because it is having the most distressing death, खूप त्रास होतो पेशंटला. It is having the most distressing death because the mind is clear, patient शेवटपर्यंत कॉन्शियस असतो, and patient is in very bad intolerable pain all over the body. That's why it is the most deadly poison. Now we'll see the difference. Just we have used the term opisthotonus, or what we have seen in the clinical presentation or in the signs and symptoms, that is the only head and feet are touching the ground and rest of the body is above from the ground level. That's why it is this condition is also seen. This condition is also seen in tetanus. So you should know the difference between strychnine and tetanus. Any patient in this condition, this bow-like arch of the body, if such a patient has been brought to the hospital, you should come to know whether it is because of strychnine poisoning or whether it is because of tetanus poisoning. So strychnine poisoning, patient will have history of poisoning, and in tetanus, patient will have history of injury. What is the microorganism that causes tetanus? It is Clostridium tetani. Clostridium tetani is the microorganism which causes this tetanus. It enters through the open wounds. Open wounds or in the injection form. This tetanus, Clostridium tetani will enter the body. So patient will have some history of injury. Then in strychnine poisoning, all the symptoms will start suddenly, because we have seen once these strychnine or Nux vomica cells are swallowed, immediately within 15 minutes to 1 hour, varies from patient to patient, within 15 minutes to 1 hour the clinical features will start. But in case of tetanus, the onset of the clinical features is gradual. Slowly the symptoms will start. In strychnine, generalized convulsions, as we have seen, all the muscles of respiration, flexors, all the extensors, all the muscles of the body, each and every, even the facial muscles causing rectus sardonicus, each and every muscle in the body will be affected by strychnine. And in tetanus, the initial manifestation will be locked jaw. Initial manifestation will be locked jaw, and later on it will spread to involve rest of the muscles. And in strychnine, all the muscles will be affected at a time and in very short period of time. In strychnine poisoning, chest is fixed during convulsions. In tetanus, fixation of the chest is not seen. And important feature, in between the two attacks of convulsion, we have seen in the early part when the convulsions are on and off, complete relaxation between the convulsion. In between the two attacks of convulsions, let it be very short interval, but there is interval between two bouts or two attacks of convulsion. So there is complete relaxation of all the muscles between the convulsion. And in tetanus, there is no relaxation. The muscles will remain contracted continuously. So there will not be intervening period between or that phase of relaxation between the two attacks of convulsions. So in strychnine, complete relaxation between the convulsions, two attacks of the convulsions. And in tetanus, there will not be that intervening period of relaxation. Now, fatal dose of strychnine, 2 gram powdered Nux vomica, 2 gram powdered Nux vomica seed, that is one seed. When the one seed is crushed into the powder, it will give rise to 2 grams powder. So this 2 gram powder is enough, that is one seed. One seed is enough to kill an adult. So one seed is deadly poisonous. Then strychnine, if the pure strychnine, that is the derivative or important active principle of Nux vomica, if the pure strychnine is given, its fatal dose is very small. It is around 15 to 30 milligram. 15 to 30 milligram. It is again similar. That is one seed of Nux vomica contains 15 to 30 milligram of strychnine. So if the pure strychnine is given, it will be around 15 to 30 milligram. It can also be asked as a 2-mark question. What is the fatal dose and fatal period of Nux vomica? It takes around 1 to 2 hours. Fatal period is 1 to 2 hours is the average fatal period. So after swallowing this 2 grams of Nux vomica powder or this pure tincture of strychnine, if it has been swallowed, the patient will die within 1 to 2 hours on an average, and in some patient it may be prolonged. So average fatal period is 1 to 2 hours. Now we come to treatment part. Treatment of Nux vomica poison. Patient should be kept in dark and quiet room, because just we have seen in the manifestations, patient will be stimulated, or the convulsions will be induced by the slightest stimulation. Slightest stimulus will induce the convulsions. That's why patient should be kept in dark and quiet room. Immediate anesthesia, short anesthesia should be given in the form of chloroform. Nowadays chloroform is not used. We go for some other anesthetic drugs. anesthesia should be given that will cause relaxation. Anesthetics will cause relaxation of all the muscles. You might have heard or seen, if the in case of, particularly in case of children, if the babies are having convulsion, febrile convulsions and all, sedative is given, barbiturate injection is given. झोपेचं इंजेक्शन देतात, त्याने काय होतं, all the muscles will get relaxed. So quick anesthesia with intravenous barbiturate or any sleeping medicine is to be given. That sedative is given, it will cause a relaxation of all the muscles and will control the convulsions. Then under the influence of barbiturate, when the patient is under the influence of barbiturate, all the muscles are relaxed and convulsions are controlled. Stomach wash should be done with potassium permanganate solution. But this stomach wash should be done very carefully, because we have seen the contraindications of stomach wash or gastric lavage. What are the contraindications of gastric lavage? If the patient has swallowed corrosive poisons like concentrated sulfuric, nitric or hydrochloric acid. Another, if the patient has consumed any volatile poison or petroleum distillates like that, or patient is in a state of coma or unconscious patient, or patient is having convulsions, and pediatric patients or non-cooperative patients. So these are the contraindications of gastric lavage where we should not go for stomach wash. So this will again come under the contraindication. Patient is having convulsions and slightest stimulus is going to initiate the convulsion. Now you have given the IV barbiturate, you have controlled the convulsions, but when you will try to induce that gastric lavage tube into the mouth and into the stomach, through the mouth into the stomach, what will happen? It can stimulate the convulsions. It can again initiate the convulsions. That's why it is the contraindication that if the patient is having convulsions, this gastric lavage should not be done. But under the influence of barbiturate, if all the muscles are relaxed and patient is not having convulsions, you can cautiously go for stomach wash, and stomach wash is to be done with potassium permanganate solution. Sedatives can be continued if patient is having recurring convulsions. Sedatives can be continued, of course, carefully monitoring the vitals and all. Then tannic acid can be left in the stomach to neutralize this strychnine, or particularly alkaloids of Nux vomica. Antidotes like barbiturates like phenobarbital can be given. It may be repeated when the convulsions will be repeated. When the convulsions will recur, these phenobarbital can be again given in the form of injection. Just make the patient to sleep quietly and keep the patient in calm environment. Mefenazine is a muscle relaxant that can be given to control the convulsions. So this is the treatment part. We will have to control the convulsions first. Then post-mortem appearance. If the patient dies by Nux vomica poison, there will be signs of asphyxia. On post-mortem examination, you will see the signs of asphyxia like frothing from the mouth, and then immediate rigor mortis will be very rapid. Rigor mortis will appear very. We have seen in the early signs of death, rigor mortis. So what are the variations of rigor mortis? So rigor mortis will appear early and will pass off early because all the muscles have been exhausted badly because of recurring convulsions. So this, if the patient is having convulsions just before the death, rigor mortis will appear early and it will pass off early. The seeds or the powder of the Nux vomica can be found in the stomach. Strychnine resists putrefaction. Strychnine resists putrefaction. That's why this Nux vomica can be detected in the viscera. The other examples of the poisons which resist the putrefaction are arsenic, cannabis indica, and Nux vomica or strychnine. They can be detected in the viscera because strychnine resists putrefaction. It will not be putrefied even in decayed or decomposed bodies. Now, important is medico-legal aspect. Medico-legal aspect of Nux vomica poisoning. Accidental Nux vomica poisoning is very common. If it is applied externally on the skin or on the mucous membrane, it can be absorbed and can cause poisoning. Homicidal poisoning is rare. म्हणजे कोणाला Nux vomicaची पावडर घालून मारले, कोणाचा खून केलाय, पॉइझनिंग केले, असं it is very rare. Homicidal Nux vomica poisoning is very rare because of its bitter taste. Because of its bitter taste and immediate convulsions. It's action, the initial, what we call it as that beginning of the clinical feature, that entry of Naxomica into the body and development of the clinical feature, that interval is very small. The convergence will appear very rapidly. That's why cannot be used for homicidal purpose. We have seen what are the characteristics of ideal homicidal poison. It has to be eatable, it has to be given easily mixed with the food or water or any juice like that, and it should be given orally. It should have long duration of action, fatal period should be long. And what is happening here, the clinical features or convergence are appearing very early. That's why it cannot be given for homicidal purpose and for suicide. Now, what are the ideal characteristic of ideal suicidal poison? Suicidal poison has to be cheap, it has to be easily available, it has to be taken orally, and it should have short fatal period, and importantly, the death has to be painless. But here it can also not be used for suicidal purpose, because the death is very painful, those convulsions and all. That's why it is also not used so commonly for suicidal purpose. Another medical legal aspect is Naxomica is used as aphrodisiac. Aphrodisiac, what is aphrodisiac? For increased sexual act, for duration of the act, and for maintaining those sexual act for longer period. So it is used as aphrodisiac. While it has been taken as aphrodisiac purpose, accidental overdose can occur, and it can cause Naxomica poison. Seeds are used. The seeds of Naxomica are used to kill the stray dog, म्हणजे रस्त्यावर फिरणारी भटकी कुत्री, त्यांना मारण्यासाठी बऱ्याच वेळा Naxomica सीडचा वापर केला जातो. And also rodents and arrow poison. Arrow poison are also called as sui poison. That we'll see in detail in the another poison. I will discuss about those arrow poison while discussing Abrus precatorius, that is the another poison that we will see further. So this is about Naxomica. I just remember Naxomica is a spinal poison. It mainly acts on the spinal cord and causes increased excitability of all the muscles, leading to convulsions. Now I will tell you in short about, I should have mentioned it in the introductory part, where is the exact action. You know the mechanism of synapses, how those nerve impulses are carried through the synapse from one neuron to other. What happens normally when the acetylcholine is secreted? When the acetylcholine is secreted, the nerve impulse from one neuron to other is handed over. From one neuron, the message is handed over to the next neuron through acetylcholine. This is the normal mechanism of conduction of a nerve impulse. But what happens, and what happens once that impulse has been carried, the cholinesterase is secreted. You might have studied all these things in nervous system in detail in physiology in first year. So this cholinesterase will cause removal or destruction of acetylcholine, and when this cholinesterase will be formed, when the acetylcholine is removed from synapse, what will happen? That gap between the two nerves will be created in the synapse, and that's conduction of the nerve impulse will stop, and that neuron will be ready for, or that synapse will be ready for next conduction of the impulse. But what happens in strychnine poisoning is this cholinesterase is not secreted. This cholinesterase is not secreted. That's why whatever the acetylcholine that has been developed in the synapse for the conduction of the nerve impulse, it will remain as it is, and there will be continuous transfer of the information. So you got what is the basic action of, where is the basic action of strychnine? It will inhibit the action of cholinesterase. That's why acetylcholine will remain in the synapse, and it will continuously cause transfer of the information, and that will lead to continuous spasm or convulsions, spasm of the muscles. So this is the way where the Naxomica is acting. So it will prevent the action of cholinesterase, so there will be continuous transfer of information across the synapse. That I should have told in the introductory part only, where is the basic mechanism of action of Naxomica. I just forgot to mention there. So got the mechanism of action. So this is where you will have to study. Important clinical features are bow like, dhanushya sarkha akar, dhanurvata sarkha. the bow-like bending of the body with head and feet touching the ground. The condition is called as opisthotonus, as well as spasm of all the facial muscles called as rectus sardonicus. So these are 2 mark questions, and also important active principles are brucine, loganin, and strychnine. That you have to mention all these 3. You will get full 2 marks. So this is all about Naxomica poison. Then treatment part, patient should be kept in dark and quiet room because slightest stimulus will induce the convergence, and you will have to go for anesthetic drugs like barbiturates and all. And difference between strychnine and Naxomica. Strychnine and tetanus poison. So this is about Naxomica in detail. Okay, we'll stop here today.